Good evening. Wiltshire police have tonight confirmed an officer fired a gun during an armed standoff in Swindon. Householders were warned to stay indoors and customers were locked inside nearby pubs as the incident unfolded.
The dramatic scenes were captured on video by people living nearby, as Andrew Plant now reports from Swindon.
Oh my God.
Do not touch that weapon! All police!
After dark in Swindon, as armed police surround a home, filmed as neighbours nearby took refuge inside.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I got down to like the end of my street here and noticed there was something hanging out the window, like a shadow. I stood there for a couple of seconds and sort of took it into consideration what it was, and then I thought it was a gun, so obviously we got in as quickly as possible.
Luke Twine watched what happened from his bedroom window this morning, seeing the damage for the very first time.
We come up to the top window and then we heard 2 gunshots. I don't know whether it was from police or from the window.
You can see the smashed window at the back of the house as well as those around the front here. Neighbours say they heard at least 15 shots over the course of a couple of hours. They tell me otherwise this is a very quiet place to live. One neighbour told me almost every house here has children inside.
Police closed off 2 pubs nearby. As the armed siege went on, customers were forced to stay inside for several hours. But the end of the siege was also captured on camera. Look carefully here as a man emerges from the property, illuminated by police lights through a rainy window. He calmly gets down on the ground and is surrounded by armed police. The 2-hour standoff finally over.
He come downstairs, he come out the door. He literally was stood by the drain where the taped off area is there, and he had like blood on his belly button and a bit on his chest as well, and then they managed to get him down.
Police say a 31-year-old man is now in custody, being held on suspicion of possession of a firearm, and is still being questioned about what happened. Andrew Plant, BBC Points West in Swindon.
A teenage boy has pleaded guilty to the murder of a 17-year-old schoolgirl in Wiltshire. Ellie Gould was stabbed to death at a house in Calne in May.
Today is the first time her killer's been named in public. Alice Bouverie is outside the school that they both attended in Chippenham for us tonight. Alice.
Yes, Alex, both pupils were members of Harden Hewish School in Chippenham behind me. Understandably, the whole community was devastated when Ellie Gould died in May this year. Staff and fellow students releasing hundreds of balloons in her memory. She was a popular 17-year-old, a member of the 6th form preparing to do her A-levels next year. Her family described her as a kind, caring young lady with a wonderful, fun personality. She loved animals, especially horses, and she had dreams of joining the police. But those dreams were cruelly cut short on May the 3rd when she was killed by fellow pupil 17-year-old Thomas Griffiths. According to the police, it was a violent attack. She was stabbed at her family's home in Calne, and she was just in the middle of a Friday afternoon. But today at Bristol Crown Court, Thomas Griffiths pleaded guilty to her murder. It was a short hearing, just half an hour in length. The courtroom was packed with family and friends of both teenagers. And speaking afterwards, the rector of St Mary's Calne, where Ellie's funeral was held, said the whole town was still coming to terms with what had happened.
Something like this is just devastating, and people are just still trying to kind of, get their heads around what's happened here. I mean, there's no words that can really express what people are feeling, and obviously it's going to be, as I say, cast a shadow over this community for a long time, and we will keep remembering her and make sure that the family are cared for.
Now, one thing that the judge did today was to lift reporting restrictions. So today is the first time that we've heard the name and seen the picture of Thomas Griffiths. Now, the judge said that though he was still 17, the judge said he'd pleaded guilty to an extremely grave crime, and it was appropriate, reasonable and proportionate to lift his anonymity. Thomas Griffiths will be sentenced for Ellie's murder on November the 8th to give time for both psychiatric and youth offending reports to be prepared. By then, he will be 18, and by then, both families will know just how much time he'll spend in jail.
OK, Alice, thank you very much. It's really heartbreaking. Well, thank you for watching us this Thursday evening.
There's still much more to come.